latest news to your favorite tunes. We've got your back morning, night, and afternoon. Join our family, connect with your crew. Kings FM 88.5, just for you.
From the News and Current Affairs Department of Royal Communications Incorporated. Good morning. Welcome to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes of news about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our one world. Today is Wednesday, Armed Forces Day, February 10, 20, that's February 11, 2026. My name is Cornelius Johnson presenting story top in the headlines. Coalition for Democratic Change expelled 2023 campaign spokesperson and two lawmakers for what the party described as disloyalty and regime collaborations against Section 38 of its constitution. General Auditing Commission launches its strategic plan for 2026 to 2030, outlining its ambitious roadmap aimed at strengthening public sector accountability, improving quality, and modernizing auditing in the country. Chairperson of the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day stand, Moba Molu, issues strong public warning to President Joseph Boakai, accusing the administration of implementing evictions measures that he says disproportionately affect poor and vulnerable communities. Away from home, Kenya says it will talk to Russia over growing reports that its citizens are being recruited to fight in the Ukraine war. And also, Zimbabwe's cabinet has approved draft legislation that will allow President MNC Mnangagwa 83 to extend his stay in office until least 2030. The news bulletin Voices of the Newsmakers are all packaged in this edition of the program. Up next, we cross over to Kwame Brown for the news bulletin.
The General Audit Commission has launched its strategic plan for 2026 to 2030, outlining its ambitious roadmap aimed at strengthening the public sector accountability, improving quality, and modernizing auditing in the country. Speaking at a ceremony held at the Cape Hotel in Mamba Point, the Auditor General, Gaswell Jackson, acknowledged that while the GAC has made significant progress over the past 5 years, the institution continues to grapple with resource constraints, operational weaknesses, and capacity gaps that have limited its overall effectiveness. According to Jackson, the new 5 year strategic is designed to respond to the rapidly evolving public financial management environment characterized by the emerging fiscal tax, increasing public scrutiny, and the growing role of technology in governance. He added that the strategic plan emphasizes quality audit delivery, operational evidence, data transformation, and financial independence with the state. That's the stated goal of positioning the GAC as a modern, independent, and proactive institution, adding with international best practices. The GAC Editor General highlighted that stakeholders' consultations was considered in the 5 year strategic plan, adding that the plan adding with national development priorities. Resident Circuit Judge of Grand Bassa County's Jude Bacon has reported that a total of 112 cases comprising both criminal and civil matters are currently on the docket for the February return of Court 80 2026. Speaking during the opening of the February return of court, Judge Bacon disclosed that 8 motions were heard and disposed of, while rulings were reserved for 4 additional motions. He further noted that legal issues were settled in 7 civil cases and that 4 bills of information were also heard and concluded during the period under review. The judge added that the probate divisions of the Circuit Court handled several matters, including petitions of letters of administration, requests of the court, decree of sales, and conveyance of land, as well as the probations of lease agreements and title deeds. In a related development, the resident circuit court judge, Jude Bacon, has lauded the superintendent of Grand Bassa accounted for his administration contribution towards strengthening the county's judicial system. The Judge Bacon made the remarks during the opening of the February term of court, where he highlighted the donations of an 18-seated bus to the judiciary and the ongoing constructions of a new courthouse in Edina City. According to Bacon, both initiatives are already making a significant impact on the administration of justice in the county. Judge Bacon noted that the bus was has greatly improved the transportations of court staff and jurors, thereby enhancing the efficiency in judiciary proceedings. He assured the public that vehicles will strictly be used for its intended purpose. At the same time, George Bargon cautioned that the goodwill gesture from the local administration should not be interpreted as a means to influence judiciary decisions. It emphasized that court remains independent and committed to dispensing justice impartially. Coalition for Democratic Change has expelled its 2023 campaign spokesperson and 2 lawmakers of what the party described as disloyalty and regained collaboration against Section 38 of its constitution. In a statement released late Monday evening, the opposition CDC noted that Councillor Kanye Balance, Senator Zopeno, and Representative Samson Weir have been expelled, citing disloyalty and regained collaboration. According to the opposition CDC, the 3 former officials violated multiple provisions of the CDC's constitution and bylaws. The CDC released citing Section 38, 39, 41A, Subchapter 42, 44, 45, 46, among others. The assigned judge of criminal could be for Moserado County Judge Japate Sharif has called for stronger rule of law, legal training, and gender inclusion at February turn of court opening, delivering her charge of court on the opening of First Circuit Court of Moserado County. Judge Jabate Salif emphasized that the rule of law remains the cornerstone of Liberia's constitutional democracy. According to George Jabate, the rule of law in the country is a fundamental principle that ensures all individuals, including government officials and lawmakers, are subject to the law. Judge Jabate Sharif noted that lawyers occupy a unique and powerful position in society, serving not only as advocates for claims but also as defenders of constitutional order and human rights. She stressed that effective performance of these responsibilities requires continuous legal education and professional development, calling on the government of Liberia to increase budgetary support to the judiciary. The Alternative National Congress has strongly criticized the government of Liberia over recent demolition exercises carried out by the armed forces of Liberia, describing the action as poorly planned and lack compassion for affected citizens. The condemnation follows a demolition exercise in the 72nd community, which reportedly left hundreds of residents, including women and children and elderly persons, homeless and without livelihoods. According to the ANC, the operation exposed serious weaknesses in planning, coordination, and government responsiveness to humanitarian concerns, while acknowledging the need for the improved accommodation and working conditions of the members of the armed forces of Liberia. And the opposition party stressed that such efforts should not come at the expense of ordinary citizens. The opposition ANC accused the Unity Party-led government of showing little urgency or compassion in responding to the humanitarian consequences of the demolition. The head of persons living with disability in Battle County has expressed his frustrations over what he describes as continued neglect under the Buakai administration. Speaking to reporters, Amos Topa, the resident of Batala, said persons living with disability in the area have not benefited from the national government, a situation he described as disappointing and unfair. Topa pointed out the lack of inclusion and access as some of the major challenges faced by persons living with disabilities in the county. He also alleged nepotism within the disabled community in Bon County, which he says have led to marginalization by county leadership. He is calling on the national government to give urgent attention to the many challenges confronting persons living with disabilities, stressing the need for inclusion, recognition, and equal opportunities. The chairperson of Solidarity and Trust for the New Distance, Moluba Molu, has issued a strong public warning to President Joseph Boakai, accusing the administration of implementing evasion measures that he says disproportionately affect poor and vulnerable communities. Recently, there have been frustration among citizens about the invasion action being carried out by the government, leaving poor people homeless. However, in a statement circulated on social media on Tuesday, Molu criticized that he described that's criticized what he described as the government alleged failure to protect poor people residents facing eviction. He warned that if evictions continue, Stearns would mobilize affected individuals to protest at the president's residence, arguing that enforcement of eviction actions should not selectively target the poor people houses while including rich people, especially partitions properties. And the plenary of the House of Representatives have voted to invite the Ministers of Mines and Energy along with the management of Herion Mining Company to appear before the House's Committee on Mines and Energy on Tuesday, February 17, 2026. The committee took the decision Tuesday following concerns over the company's bad mining operation in Bon County Electoral District 3. The horses action followed a communication from Bon County District 3 lawmaker that's Marvin Cole, who urged the plenary to invite ministers of mines and energy and the management of Herion Mining Company to appear for what he described as gross environmental violation and failure to comply with statutory obligations governing mining activities in Liberia. The Bon County lawmaker, in his communication, accused Herion Mining Company of engaging in practices that allegedly degrade the environment and disregard community welfare. According to Bon County lawmakers, several efforts to engage the company's management on the issues have produced no satisfactory outcome, prompting the need for legislative intervention.
Kwame Brown with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. Indeed, if you just join us, a reminder you're listening to King's Newsroom for the 5 minutes of news about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our one world. Today's Armed Forces Day, February 11, 2026. One of our top stories this morning. Chairperson of the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day, Moba Malu, issues strong public warning to President Joseph Boakai, accusing the administration of implementing eviction measures that he says disproportionately affect poor and vulnerable communities. We take a very short break. When we'll come back, we'll bring you voices of the newsmakers. Many thanks for being there and welcome back. Our first development, the General Auditing Commission has launched a strategic plan for 2026 to 2030, outlining its ambitious roadmap aimed at strengthening public sector accountability, improving quality, and modernizing accounting in the country. Speaking at the ceremony held at the Cape Hotel in Mama Point, the General Auditing Commission Auditor General Kaswa Jackson acknowledged that while the GSC has made significant progress over the past 5 years, the institution continues to grapple with resource constraints, operational weaknesses, and capacity gaps that have limited its overall effectiveness. According to Jackson, the new 5-year strategic plan is designed to respond to a rapidly evolving public financial management environment criticized or characterized by emerging fiscal risks, increasing public scrutiny, and growing role of technology in governance.
It is with great pride and a sense of responsibility that I present the General Auditing Commission's strategic plan for the period 2026 to 2030. This plan represents a bold and forward-looking roadmap to strengthen public accountability, enhance audit impact, and reinforce institutional resilience in areas governance structure. Over the past 5 years, General Auditing Commission has made significant strides, expanding audit coverage, improving quality assurance, and deepening stakeholders' engagements. These achievements are realized despite resource constraints and operational challenges, reflecting the unwavering commitment of our team, integrity, transparency, and fairness. As we transition into a new strategic cycle, we are determined to build on these gains and address emerging risks in an increasingly complex public finance. The 2026 to 2030 strategic plan is anchored on 5 strategic: transform audit delivery, pursue financial independence, enhance operational excellence, leverage technology, digital transformation, improve people and culture. Through this plan, aim to position the General Auditing Commission proactive supreme audit institution, maintains international standards, and delivers measurable value to the citizens of Nigeria. This strategy, the product robust analysis, stakeholders, consultations, benchmarking against global best practices. It aligns with our mandates and responds to the evolving expectations of the legislature, development partners, and the public. Its successful implementation will require sustained collaboration, adequate resourcing, and unwavering support from all stakeholders, committed transparency, and good governance. Invite all stakeholders, government institutions, civil society organizations, development partners, and the citizens of Liberia to join us on this journey. Together, we can strengthen accountability, safeguard public resources, and build a governance system that inspires trust and confidence. Thank you.
He's Kaswa Jackson, Auditor General of the GAC. They're speaking. Resident Circuit Judge of Grand Bassa County, Joe Bacon, has reported that a total of 112 cases comprising both criminal and civil matters are currently on the docket for the February term of court AD 2026. Speaking during the opening of February term of court, Judge Bacon disclosed that 8 motions were heard and disposed of, while rulings were reserved on 4 additional motions. He further noted that legal issues were settled in 7 civil cases and that 4 bills of information were also heard and concluded during the period under review. The judge added that the appropriate division of the circuit court handled several matters, including petitions for letters of administration's requests for the court's decree of sale and conveyance of land, as well as the probation of lease agreements and title deeds.
The President and members of the bar and our distinguished guests, as per the mandate of the Chief Justice, His Honor Yemi Senior, we preside over the reform term of 2025 where there were 115 cases of both criminal and civil on the post docket, all of which there were 10 criminal cases and 105 civil cases. 2 criminal cases were disposed of from the post docket on the merit. Another criminal case which was not docketed after being transferred was also disposed of. But not a prosecutor, while one civil case involving action and judgment, the jury trial was also disposed of. The total number of cases available for the federal term of court legal resist is 112, comprising both criminal and civil. Both criminal and civil. About 8 motions were had and disposed of, and rulings reversed on 4 other motions. Additionally, no issue was also disposed of in 7 other civil cases, and 4 bill information were also disposed of. The appropriate division of the Social Circuit disposed of several matters, one of which involved the petition for administration, petition for constitution of sale, conveyance of land, and other provision of lease agreement, etc. The total fund generated by the production is $1,950 and total of $19,950. We also wish to inform you that records from the 6 mature courts and other traffic courts within the circuit, excluding companies who did not report, revealed that during the sitting in the August 10th of court 2025, there were a total of 249 criminal cases on the docket, and 21 cases of civil cases, and a total of 158 criminal cases were disposed of. 5 civil cases, we're only talking 5 civil cases disposed of, as well as the total of 91 criminal cases disposed of. 16 cases, respectively, are pending on the coast docket for trial.
In a related development, the resident Circuit Court George Joe Bacon has lauded the Superintendent of Grand Bassa County for his administration contribution towards strengthening the county's judicial system. George Bacon made remarks during the opening of the February term of court, where he highlighted the donation of an 18-seater bus to the judiciary in the ongoing construction of a new courthouse in Edana City. According to Bacon, both initiatives are already making a significant impact on the administrations of justice in the county.
We are pleased to report to you that the county authorities of Grand Bassa County, on the administration of the able Superintendent of Okayi Johnson, has donated a 18-seater bus to the Central Judicial Circuit, and the bus was presented publicly on the grounds of the administrative building in Buchanan on Tuesday, November 11, 2025. The bus was subsequently turned over to the Director of Transport at the Temple of Justice for proper coding, and it is currently in use, transporting court staff to and fro work, as well as jurors. We are highly gratified for such a milestone and valuable donation to the Central Judicial Circuit of Grand Bassa County on the part of the county authorities in collaboration with the Grand Bassa County Legislative Caucus. And we say bravo to our county authorities and the caucus, as this has been my advocacy and dream since my senator to this position, because co-staff and jurors were incurring too much cost of transportation from their salaries and or income to go to and fro work on a daily basis.
He's the resident Sakeko George Joe Bako there, speaking at the opening of the February term of court in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. The chairperson of Solidarity and Trust for a New Day, Stan Moba Malu, has issued a strong public warning to President Joseph Boakai, accusing the administration of implementing eviction measures that he says disproportionately affect poor and vulnerable communities. Recently, there has been frustration among citizens about the eviction actions being carried out by the government, leaving poor people homeless. However, in a statement circulated on social media Tuesday, Molu criticized what he described as the government's alleged failure to protect poor people. Residents facing evictions, he warned that if evictions continue, Stan will mobilize affected individuals to protest at the president's residence, arguing that enforcement of eviction actions should not selectively target poor people's houses while excluding rich people, especially politicians' properties. Here now is Moba Molu.
We will rise up in opposition and say no to you, and we will utilize every available process within the compass of the rule of law to stop you. To our people, this is your moment. Liberians, history is watching us. Silence today will become regret tomorrow. The same injustices we tolerate now will be inherited by our children. If we do not resist peacefully and collectively, displacement will become national policy. Therefore, we therefore call upon market women, youth groups, students, motorcyclists, trade unions, civil servants, faith leaders or religious leaders, rural communities, and the Liberian diaspora. Rise up, it's time for that. Let's stand together. Let's organize. Let's mobilize. Let's resist peacefully but firmly. Let's say no to this dangerous campaign against the poor. Let there be no violence, but let there also be no surrender. While we will always be peaceful, we will also never surrender to the dictates or to the whims and the caprices of this government. Our message is simple and clear. If President Boakai drives Liberians from their homes and turns them into displaced people, then through peaceful mass resistance, we will also make him a displaced president. I will say that again. If President Joseph Boakai drives Liberians from their homes and turns them into displaced people, then through peaceful mass resistance, we will also make him a displaced president.
He's Moba Molu, chairperson of Solidarity and Trust for a New Day. They're speaking the chairperson of Stan comments come days after several residents, including residents of Cinco, 4th Street and 72nd were made homeless from actions of the government. Stan has consistently presented itself as a movement advocating social justice, accountability, and grassroots resistance to what it views as government overreach. The head of persons living with disabilities in Batala, Broom County, has expressed frustration over what he describes as continued neglect on the Boakai administration. Speaking to reporters, Amont Tokba, a resident of Batala, said persons with disabilities in the area have not benefited from the national government, a situation he described as disappointing and unfair. Tokba pointed to a lack of inclusion and access as some of the major challenges faced by persons living with disabilities in the county.
Somebody rightly put it, disability is not inability. So for people living with disability, nobody was born with it.
Okay.
Where it is true, some people were born with it. Anybody can become disabled within the movement.
Okay.
And it's not something that anybody hoping for or praying for. But from the time we started, we are rating whole lot of entity, NGO, government officials, senator, representative. Nobody has ever come to our aid. So we are actually appealing to the people. If you can see us discussing, but besides that, nobody has ever done it for the okay, then not paying attention to us, but we stay encourage our people. We talk to them that we should remain patient time, and we are waiting a whole lot of communication to him that we actually want an existence.
Okay.
Because it is true, where it is true, we all are disabled, but there are some people, they are disability in some of us who can at least move. When you look at some of the people, you feel very, very bad about them. Actually, in line so that we can really be able to help us. The liar will always say, my business is across the river. So when it comes to more especially on a remote, if you heard that on a remote, who are warm in the district, you warm in the district, most are aching for the people living with disability. We are rating a whole lot of communication.
Wow.
We wrote on a over and over until we got tired.
The head of persons living with disability in Batala, Bon County, they're expressing frustration over what he describes as continued neglect on the administration of President Joseph Boakai. His Amos Tokpa, they're speaking to a reporter. Today's development now, the political leader of Citizens Movement for Change has donated 500 bags of cement to the people of District 12 in Montserrat County for the construction of their district office. CMC National Chairman James Yogi, who represented the party's political leader, Representative Musa Ability, said the donation of the 500 bags of cement is in fulfillment of the pledge he made during a visit to District 12 Montserrat County some times ago. Here now is the chairman of the CMC.
In fulfillment of the promise made to the people of District 12, specifically Honorable Jerry K. Yoba, by the political leader of the Citizens Movement for Change, the Honorable Musa Hassan Belete. We are here today and we're very pleased to present, as committed by Honorable Musa Belete, 500 bags of cement towards the construction of the District 12 administrative headquarters. Our political leader is a man of his word, and Honorable Jerry K. Yoba, being one of the officials of our party and representing the people of District 12, we've come to support his initiatives, to work with him, better the lives of the people of District 12. And so we're happy this morning to be able to present on behalf of the political leader the 500 bags of cement as was promised during the groundbreaking.
Also receiving the items on behalf of the district, Representative Jerry Yobo, the district coordinator, Sensi Kalon, thank Representative Ability for the donation. Mr. Kalon assured Mr. Yogi that the 500 bags of cement will be used for the internal purpose, which is to construct the district office. Here now is the district coordinator.
On behalf of the offices of Honorable Jerry Koruba Yokwa Sr., the people of District number 12, we are happy. And we want to say thanks to the political leader, Honorable Musa Hassan Pepelete, the national chairman, and all other entourage of the party, especially to the chairman and his entourage that are currently on ground. We are grateful. We extend our heartfelt thanks and appreciation. Being part of a political institution, Honorable Yokbo running as independent, going to the CMC, there have been some people who think going to CMC never going to bring fruit. I think this day what has happened is a clear manifestation and a testimony that this what we have seen and heard from the political leader of CMC across this country, today it has manifested in district number 12. So we are so pleased and we are happy on behalf of the lawmaker.
Well, that's all the time we have for this morning's edition of King's Newsroom. But just before we go, our international development. Kenya says it will talk to Russia over growing reports that its citizens are being recruited to fight in the war in Ukraine. Speaking to BBC, Foreign Minister Musalia Mavadi called the practice unacceptable and clandestine and said Nairobi had shut down illegal recruiters and will urge Moscow to sign a deal banning the conscription of Kenyan soldiers. The Kenyan government estimates that around 200 of its nationals have been recruited to fight for Russia. The exact number remains unclear, as Nairobi maintains that none of them travel through official channels. The foreign minister has told the BBC that Kenya's engagement with Russia will focus on curbing illegal recruitment practices, including discussions on visa policy and bilateral labor agreements, excluding military conscription. He said that the Kenyan authorities have closed more than 600 recruitment agencies suspected of duping Kenyans and promises of jobs overseas. And Zimbabwe's cabinet has approved draft legislation that will allow President Emmerson Mnangagwa, 83, to extend his stay in office until at least 2030. Presidents will be chosen by MPs rather than in a direct vote and will serve a maximum of 2 to 7 terms. Or maximum of 2 7-year terms rather than the current 5-year terms under the proposal. Justice Minister Sanyabi said public consultations will be held before the bill heads to Parliament for debate, where both chambers are dominated by the ruling ZANU-PF party. Legal challenges are likely, as constitutional experts argue a referendum is needed if the term limits are changed, and also point out such amendments cannot benefit a sitting president. Turn this news here once again, our top stories. Coalition for Democratic Change expelled 2023 campaign spokesperson and 2 lawmakers for what the party describes as disloyalty and regime collaborations against Section 38 of its constitution. The General Auditing Commission launches a strategic plan for 2026 to 2030, outlining its ambitious roadmap aimed at strengthening public sector accountability, improving quality, and modernizing auditing in the country. Also in the news, you heard the chairperson of Solidarity and Trust for New Day, Moba Malu, issuing a strong public warning to President Joseph Boakai, accusing the administration of implementing eviction measures that he says disproportionately affect poor and vulnerable communities. Across the border, Kenya says it will talk to Russia over growing reports that its citizens are being recruited to fight in the war in Ukraine. Also, Zimbabwe's cabinet has approved draft legislation that will allow President Emmerson Mnangagwa, 83, to extend his stay in office until at least 2030. Many thanks to all of our contributors, editors, and reporters who help in making this edition of King's Newsroom of Sources. For more news and information, do join us at 1 p.m. this afternoon, or better still, at 6 p.m. for a fresh edition of the program. Kwame Brown was here with the news bulletin. On behalf of the entire team, my name is Cornelius Johnson. I presented. Thanks to you for listening and watching. Good morning.